Someplace, sometime, some night in 1985 or 1986, there was a night I remember. It wasn't a night that was that much different than any other nights in 1985, 1986, or within the time period, but a memory that creeped its way across the walls of the cobweb-draped corridors of my mind. By the time I arrived in the city, it was always grey and black, with sparkling lights to guide me to where I needed to go. Melrose, Highland, Hoover, Santa Monica, the Edge at Sunset, the Harbour Hollywood and Santa Monica Freeway, and other street names I needed to know at that time. But as time went on, and not much time after that, these were the names that were etched in my brain. 5 years prior to this period was a magical time. The 1970s were transitioning into the 1980s. Disco, glam rock, polished hard rock along with their fireworks displays, heavy metal, 1970s with the 1960s influenced folk, easy listening, were morphing with punk, dance rock, new wave, big hair bands, boy bands, all girl bands, and all these new sounds, music bands, groups, styles, and a whole new energy, and even Sex Without Fear was all over the place. 5 years was enough time to pass to where I actually felt a little jaded, but not a whole lot. The gay clubs still clutched onto anything that was energetic and blended all the different sounds, new and old, to a perpetual beat that would last throughout the night. Back then I would wear my tight Levi 501s, hard-heeled biker boots and black leather fringed jacket. They were 6-inch long fringes with little skull and crossbones as decorative buttons. You had to have the fringe. Heading to the club, I took long and fast strides to the automatic opening doors and paid my way and proceeded down the dark tunnel, past the sitting area and down the grand staircase, pouring out into a sea of half-clothed men. Scanning the crowd, I would dance my way to the middle, gyrating my hips about 76 beats per minute, turning in circles, looking up at the animated lights, feeling the body heat surrounding me, when suddenly Thomas, a head of blonde hair, cups his neck to mine and whispers in a New York accent, "Steve is waiting for you upstairs. He's got something for you." Steve, standing there with a smile half smeared with excitement, and the other half looking as though he was getting prepared for a serious mission, waved me over to him. We two-stepped into the toilet stall at the far right. He pulled out an amber glass vial with a little metal spoon conveniently connected to the cap, piercing the content of the little glass jar. I never remember the vial being quite that full, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention. It burned, but it was worth it. The toilet was so beautiful, the way the spotlight above shot down into the center of it, making it glow like a magical entrance to an underwater world where all is colorful, wonderful, and beautiful. Like a message from heaven, a feeling screaming at us, "It's time to party, boys." We exited the stall and looked into the bathroom mirror. Looking back at us was us looking back at us. Our big brown eyes saying, "Oh yeah." The beats from downstairs quickly poured downstairs backwards, shooting upwards, pulling us back down. The sitting area was suddenly a blurry flash. Then down the staircase I would hit my boot heels hard to the stair step, as if making a dent with each descent, marking this moment, catapulting my each step faster, skipping a stair every other stair until I landed onto the dance floor and dove into the sea of men. My gyrating motion increasing to what seemed to be 100 bumps and grinds per minute. Moving my eyes quick and fast motions, shutter speed, visually recording everything around me, the men dancing, the lights flashing and changing colors, the music not only swallowing you but going through you, and enjoying all the nighttime creatures. At that moment we all became one. Oh yeah. I woke to my mother poking her head in through the bedroom door. "Would you like to go to church?" Without hesitation, I said, "Sure." My mother left the Catholic Church after being disappointed. She just walked away, but offered to support our Catholicism should that be the path we chose. I didn't know any better, so I actually cancelled my tap dancing classes over cancelling Catholicism. They both fell on a Saturday. Big mistake. We stepped into a red Mustang and drove to our destination in downtown Long Beach. We parked the car and walked down the sidewalk to the old-style Long Beach house. We looked straight ahead and proceeded to continue our short journey up the walkway to the wooden porch and through the front wooden door. Folded chairs were lined up in the front room and ahead was the dining room area, but tonight it was playing the role of the altar. Straight back to the right was the entrance to the old-fashioned kitchen. To the right of the room was a bay window with an organ placed in front of it. On the Wurlitzer's organ seat sat Miss Schnez, with her short blondish hairdo, a pale peach-coloured felt cap crowned on top and lightly sprinkled with pearls and a touch of feathers. She wore a light-coloured dress that fit tight and loose as it fell to her knees, decorated with a small, tiny peach and pink flower designed pattern. Her cat-eye glasses were held in place by a gold chain around her neck. Her thin legs, with a soft and smooth appearance, were covered in natural light-coloured hose and wearing slingback open-toed cream-coloured leather shoes, stepping on the front pedals. The theme of the moment started to fill the air. Suddenly, a glass bowl was being passed down the aisle to each guest, but not for tithings. The bowl was for questions to be written down on paper, folded, and then dropped back into the bowl. After a few cycled sounds of the organ shrill, the music came to a slow, silent halt. From the left side of the dining room was a dark-framed wooden door carved into the wall that led to a hallway, and from this passageway, Dr. Osmond Rome entered the stage. Wearing a shiny green gown, he launched the moment with a welcoming greeting and began to talk to the small crowd about peace and unity, etc. Dr. Rome was my saviour and chiropractor since the age of 9 years old and was my mother's spiritual creator, motivator and friend. He was a small man that always had a nice clinical smell and very strong hands. He would snap you into place with a quick fold and shove. His magical hands made you breathe when your body had trouble breathing on its own. His hands helped you stand straight when your body couldn't straighten on its own. I thought of him as a safety net and knew that when I was broken with a simple call, he'd always be there to fix me. I always felt relieved when my mother would either enter the room or talk to Dr. Rome from the waiting room during my chiropractic adjustments. Their conversations of life after death, past lives, extraterrestrial beings and flying saucers, machinery left over by the lost continent of Atlantis hidden in caves, or a tropical civilization hidden high above the North Pole, always made me feel secure and relaxed. As Dr. Rome led the ohms with the help of Miss Schnez's musical notes, lifting each ohm higher and higher to a place that the ohms themselves could not reach, suddenly out slowly marched the ladies, Wisteria, Joy, and Mrs. Willowbrook. They sat down on the 3 chairs left behind the altar and meditated in silence. Dr. Rome took a seat and Miss Schnez sat still like one of Uncle Drosselmeyer's mechanical dolls waiting in the wings. The women opened their eyes and started to move. This was the moment we were waiting for. Each lady had their turn like a character in the Nutcracker. Wisteria, a tall, slender woman with dark brown hair and eyes and an oval face, took the glass bowl. With her long fingers, she reached in and took a note. Without unfolding the small piece of paper presenting a simple question written in denied desperation, she spoke out to one half of a pair of females in the crowd. Someone wasn't being treated as they should be by the other half of the pair. Someone was relieved, the other looked upset and disturbed. Mrs. Willowbrook, appearing calm, friendly and approachable like anyone's Aunt Edith, who in an expert at baking great award-winning pies, took her turn advising and helping the audience. Whether we were there to get answers, find relief, or just enjoy a spiritual experience to bring the weekend to a soft close, secrets were revealed and nursed. Then it happened. Joy rose from the center, nicely coiffed, dark blondish hair, jewellery around her neck, hands and wrists made up slightly with makeup but not overdone. She stood up from her chair.